My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, these are the gang members who are the people of the state. The shadow of the vehicle on this side. See the light along the curb on the opposite side. It's called impulsible light activity, and by the opposite side I mean this light here and then the light activity here. while they're driving through light that's flying in the air, while the fake sun is in position, perfect alignment with me and my face. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that at 537 North Euclid Avenue. This is my shuttle back here, perfectly aligned with me. It's aimed on me, which is everyone's focus, okay? And everyone is demon possessed. Everyone is sharing and stalking. Everyone is aware and intentionally in the path. Everyone is engaging in that pattern of conduct on behalf of the state, not as an individual, and not under any sort of protected constitutional rights, okay? The entity's environment that is supernatural is speaking to intent and knowledge. You don't have a coincidence. When I am at 10 o'clock in the morning inside of this building, and I'm standing on the staircase, and the Ontario International Airport is flying adjacent to that hallway door where impossible light is reaching into the inside of that church, and the entity is amplifying plane activity while they're monitoring my vagina as a population that is stalking. 3 hours from now, during the 10 a.m. hour, 11 a.m. hour, the fake sun is over me at this parking lot at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. For example, like I've stated before, November 25th, 2025. This is the entity that is gang stalking. And this is relevant to what is the sex offender, who are the people of the state, who are the government. That's San Bernardino County, that wants to be identified explicitly as engaging what is conspiring my murder. They are doing so in the environment where you are driving an engineer light that's appearing on the opposite side of the curb. That's the driver's side of their vehicles, where the shadow of their vehicles are appearing on the passenger side, and engineer lights also appearing on the passenger side of their vehicles under a fake sun, walking in it, monitoring, obsessive criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. Moreover, the entity has this fake sun with regard to what is OVITT Family Community Library, which is on the opposite side of this apartment building, downtown Ontario. I showed you the image of the fake sun that's the same color at 4:12 p.m. while psychopaths, this population, is engaging in surveillance inside of that building, which is not even a 5-minute walk on the opposite side of this apartment building, and this fake sun is still shining for the stalking purposes. This light activity is inside of OVITT Family Community Library, where terrorists like Mickey and Alexander Gregg, who engage in psychopathic pacing all day long, which is what this is, under the fake sun in the engineer light, on behalf of the government that is keeping me under surveillance. And the people of the state shall be prosecuted as not only co-conspirators of murder, but violent sex offenders. They're engaging in this with regard to extraordinarily unprecedented violation of privacy, keeping your genitalia under surveillance, stalking in places like restrooms, in the same way that they keep you under surveillance inside of your homes. This is P.O.C. He's engaging in what is stalking at the Ontario Town Square, the property on the opposite side of this apartment building, dipping behind the amphitheater, dipping behind the 280 North Limit Apartments as though they're landing, and you're looking at them engaging in cartwheels. Where the fake sun is in alignment to my face, this is where it's rising. The OVITT Family Community Library on the opposite side of this building is where it's landing. This is a population of terrorists who are already surrounded with evidence. They engage in ambush conduct as I walk in and out of venues like the OVITT Family Community Library, like Stater Brothers, all right, like the gas station of Chevron, where the airport is stalking, where the police are stalking, where the people are stalking. 9VDZ196 is under the fake sun, as is Omnitrans, that's engaging in that pattern of engineer light is underneath the bus, and the evidence shows that Omnitrans is engaging in what is stalking and surveillance and furtherance of murder as a business, which is again a state actor, where they're pacing, not different. That brand is what you're going to prosecute. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct in that environment, which is showing what is that ongoing evidence of a government that is engaging in criminal surveillance with regard to communication devices, with regard to a population, businesses, and entity that is engaging in what is massive targeting. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. It is currently 7:34 a.m. What you're going to pay attention to is my images, because you'll see the fake sun rapidly changing. What the entity is, it hasn't gone anywhere. This is entirely demonic, all of this. And what you're going to see, the fake sun hasn't gone anywhere, but as I capture images and video, you'll see it adjusting, shining very brightly in my face while I'm taking pictures. As I capture this video, even throughout this video, which is at 5 minutes right now, the entity's fake sun has engaged in what is removing itself in real time, but yet at the same time it's not going anywhere because it's still over me at this same fake church, like I've already documented. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The entity has the fake sun setting at the OVITT Family Community Library, where it's still shining inside of a business on this same street into the evening, where Omnitrans Chaffee Joint Union High School, the Ontario International Airport, the people of the state, violent sex offenders keeping a woman's vagina under surveillance, and yet they are delusional with regard to including children in that criminal and sexually violent pattern of conduct, which is serving murder as though they're keeping custody of children. They are not. P.O.C. This is mental illness while you're looking at gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. And these are the exposed threats and harms to society when Satan has possessed a vessel. Satan has possessed an entire state of people. And this is the criminal conduct that is manifesting. Okay? P.O.C. is pacing up and down F Street. The people of the state are inside of their homes, which are facilitating venues engaging in Title 18 federal stalking with the government that's stalking as an airport. This is surveillance, and companies such as CMAX, such as all the airlines, such as Omnitrans, are going to be criminally prosecuted for conspiring my murder. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:36 a.m. The fake sun has not gone anywhere. The demon-possessed are engaged in real-time surveillance. The demon-possessed are engaged in criminal activity, which is demonic, and that's speaking to the nuance regarding the movement of this fake sun, even though it's not actually going anywhere, while they are aware that they are being documented. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is the entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct in sync with the demons that are right here, pacing at engineer light. Alrighty, I just want to be clear, this is the pattern of conduct that the demon-possessed, first of all, thought was witchcraft, well, it is witchcraft, but they thought that it was magical. If they call themselves elite, they're not. Their witchcraft doesn't work against me. Their witchcraft has served what is the establishment, the accumulation of a pattern of conduct to prosecute them and have them diagnosed for mental illness. Okay, like I stated, they're not magical. You are clearly psychotic, stalking in commercial planes. What you're going to recall is that the entity is engaged in what is stalking me at the OVITT Family Community Library, where they're not landing over anywhere behind Lemon Avenue, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the Ontario Town Square, the housing community where CMAX is stalking right now. There's no airport back there. And they, like I stated, at the Ontario Town Square, as I progress up the street, so does the stalking by the planes. And the relevant context is that this is how you know that they're stalking, because this is where the fake sun is. And where they're stalking at the Ontario Town Square, that's where the fake sun is setting. This is P.O.C. Every airline is going to be prosecuted, including Starlux. I don't have to document Starlux stalking me on Euclid Avenue. Starlux shares in the pattern of conduct, and the Ontario International Airport is being shut down. These are mentally ill people who are engaged in criminal activity, and it's a threat to the public, including the demons that are gang stalking with them. Those are the ones that also die in the plane crashes when they are flying these planes that are stalking me right now. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down. It's a national security threat. P.O.C. It is currently 7:38 a.m. That's psychopathic pacing. They're stalking under the fake sun. This is psychopathic pacing and engineered light. This is what is affecting your devices. This is what is relevant to surveillance on the internet. This is what is relevant to surveillance monitoring you as demons. They're doing so in the engineered light, and the entities also engage in this pattern of conduct while they're engaged in demonic activity, meaning they're monitoring you when you are not even physically in their presence. Demons are not looking at you, and that's how they know what you're doing. It's surveillance which is satanic, and it's also surveillance with regard to communication devices on the internet in violation of federal stalking statute. For example, Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. It's 7:39 a.m. The Ontario International Airport is serving to prosecute the people of the state and all the businesses, not just on Euclid Avenue, but the state of California. And it is far exceeding some class action suit. That's not what this is. This is domestic terrorism, and it's criminal activity. And there is also an unprecedented basis for civil prosecution as well. License plate 8BQA831. This is the pattern of conduct. These are demons pacing. This is psychopathic pacing. P.O.C. It's 8:05 a.m. 9KGE720 and Omnitrans, Route 83, stalking at E Street and Euclid, engaging in criminal summoning. Surveillance with the state and furtherance of murder. 9DUT 559. Omnitrans is creating audible activity, honking their horn, and they're gang stalking with what is American Medical Response. License 1545811, bus 2351. AMR is engaging in psychopathic behavior, creating light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning while they're engaged in what is stalking in an ambulance pursuant to what is actually surveillance amongst the people of the state at the intersection where the fake sun is remaining as a matter of documentation from sunrise until sunset, facilitating the same gang stalkers. Pay attention to the entity's pattern of conduct. Ontario Fire engaging criminal summoning while I'm at the same intersection moments earlier as well, while they are monitoring the evidence as I stand at that intersection, its activity maintenance, while the entities engaged in that P.O.C. The mentally ill that are stalking in ambulances, stalking in fire trucks, stalking in police vehicles, they are going to be subject to mental examinations. 9KRJ853, they are a threat to the public. License 9DGH088, not only by their criminal activity, but remember their criminal activity is mentally deranged behavior at the same time. They are going to be subject to, based on this public corruption, speaking to the threat that they pose to the public, this is the same form that they take, in other words. 9NTE741 is engaging in criminal conduct with regard to a demon that's engaged in criminal activity under the guise of operating a emergency vehicle and engaging in what is rushing to a scene. Who are they rushing to? The people of the state. The circumstances that they're doing it while they're under the fake sun, which is speaking to malice regarding everything, including going to any location where you maintain any paper trail, which will be means of prosecuting you under all circumstances. Everything in the specific environment is indeed relevant to surveillance, and there is nothing superseding that. The psychopaths that are gang stalking with planes and helicopters, police, fire, and ambulance vehicles are literally under the very delusional impression that when they pull up in a fire truck with the lights on, then that is making everything goes to the wayside because of by virtue of their presence, and it is literally the exact opposite. It is highly incriminating that the entities engage in what you already know under a fake sun that you know sits there 6 hours later, wherever that is. And they were present in emergency vehicles. 9SQV576 is identified as a third party, conspiring murder with the government. That's engaged in psychopathic pacing, not changing because it's an emergency vehicle. It's more threatening. And the entities engaging in that while they're engaging in surveillance, monitoring what it is that I'm publishing on the internet at the same time. And Ontario Fire Department engaging in that moments earlier, while I'm on this same street, and these demons are pacing under a fake sun that you know is still over me on this same street at this same exact location. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. American Medical Response doesn't have an actual, logical explanation. They are also documented engaging in targeting me in other cities under the same circumstances with other police departments, with the same people of the state in a different location. It's the same entity. The demon-possessed that are gang stalking as EMTs are going to be removed from those positions. They are subject to federal prison. They have committed kidnapping as an entity with Tracy Banks. This is Ticho Kessel, engaging in kidnapping pursuant to criminal defamation. And who's engaged in criminal defamation? San Bernardino County, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Guess where those demons are going? With all their letters behind their names. You're going to add inmate behind that because they're going to prison. Criminal defamation is how the pattern of conduct is supposed to operate. And the entities engaged in kidnapping with who? The gang members of the Ontario Police Department. And this is how the pattern of conduct goes around and around. They're already surrounded with evidence while they are psychotic, engaging in criminal activity that everybody knows the purpose of it. Everyone knows. The only ones that don't know are the demons that are going dizzy, stalking me in commercial planes, still to date, stalking me in helicopters, stalking me in police, fire, and ambulance vehicles, and the people of the state are the ones that are going to prison. Those are the ones that they thought that they were going to protect. You're not protecting them. You've incriminated them. And like I said years before, they're going to prison, and that's exactly where they're going, because that's where domestic terrorists belong. That's where enemies of this country belong. That's where hostile actors, those who are hostile and aggressive toward American citizens and toward American ideals, that's where you belong. You want to act like an enemy? Enemies go to federal prison. 7AUE186, 8GHG561. That's criminal summoning. It's 8:10 a.m. I'm standing at E and Euclid. The fake sun is remaining here as the heavily documented Starbucks has shown. They're not engaging in anything other than stalking, okay? So daylight savings time, it will be 9:10 a.m. During daylight savings time, Starbucks and this same entity committed kidnapping with the intent to obstruct justice. Starbucks is no private property where the fake sun's remaining all day. That's a facilitating venue, which is, that has a legal significance because you're engaged in surveillance. That directly rebuts that it's private property. And you abandon that. when you engage in the government's pattern of conduct, and they know that. They don't know the all the ways in which you're eloquently speaking that. They don't know the legal argument, but they know that they're engaged in criminal surveillance. What they don't know is that they were going to be prosecuted, and all of that criminal activity is going to be analyzed under the law as it exists and laws that shall come into existence with the knowledge, the factual information that criminal surveillance is underway. Moreover, that it's satanic. That is getting to what is relevant with regard to the fact that it's satanic is that it's malicious. That's all you're going to do. You're going to treat Satan as the malicious terrorist that he is. Okay, that's where the satanic aspect, the satanic features of this pattern of conduct comes into play. Legislators, lawmakers, those that are engaging in what is actually prosecuting and investigating this, the satanic feature, the witchcraft aspect is relevant to understanding malice. That's it. They're malicious. That's where you're getting from that. And you're also going to prosecute and document regarding what is mental illness. You want to engage in psychopathic stalking? You want to engage in stalking with light? You want to show everybody? You want to show the federal government that you're crazy? You're going to be locked up and confined like crazy people where they belong. Because you're crazy is a national security threat. And they still have not gotten that. Stalking in an emergency vehicle, you're going to be confined. You're going to be confined in prison in the area where they're regularly medicated, where they are confined and restrained for the benefit and protection of other people, because that is psychopathic. This is what an entity is doing while they're gang stalking me and engaging in criminal surveillance. The entity has the fake sun during daylight savings time at this same exact location where I'm standing right now after 6 p.m. And this is the entity that's delusional because you're in an ambulance, because you're in a fire truck. I will prosecute you and you'll go to federal prison because you're in an ambulance and in a fire truck. It doesn't make anything legitimate. It makes it worse. It's speaking to what the people of the state are doing. And that is the terrorist group that you're going to prosecute, because this is how the government does it. So the people of the state are today thinking it's a good idea to gang stalk with the government. You're going to find out the government's going to have you losing everything. Everything, including where you can live. You'll be outside. And you will not be receiving any government benefits. No one's going to help a terrorist. And that's if you're not subject to deportation. That's if you're not subject to federal prison. P.O.C. it's 8:12 a.m. I'm looking at the clock on U.S. Bank. It's inaccurate. It is actually 8:12 a.m. And that's criminal summoning while the entity is monitoring what's uploading on the internet, which is relevant to ARCO. ARCO's Wi-Fi. This entity that's driving, literally, they're driving on the street in the engineer light. In the video that I'm narrating, you listen to on the podcast, and what you can see, the shadow of their vehicles reaching across on the sidewalk, and the light activity as they are driving on that same street on the driver's side of their vehicles. This is light activity. This is affecting the operation of your internet, of the Wi-Fi connection. This is the noise that they make, such as sirens, and the light activity, like CMAX. Okay, like their brake lights, which they are affecting while they use the traffic lights, which are controlled by the state, who are stalking me, while they're maintaining presence over my head with planes. They're engaging what is affecting the operation of your devices. They're engaging in also what is witchcraft, this ongoing ritual regarding light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning, meaning presence by all of them. And all they're doing is pacing. And how do you know that all they're doing is going around and around and around me? Because the fake sun, the environment, they keep that environment so they can do that all day long. All they're doing is going around me all day long. All day long, they're going around in circles, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's psychopathic. They are highly anxious, psychotic stalkers. And they try to hide that from you and engaging in what is trying to make criminal activity, stalking as an entity full of people who are demon-possessed appear as palatable and normal as possible. And they are relying on the fact that you are spiritually unaware. And what do they do with regard to those who are a threat, who can see the demons, and who can literally break down and translate for you what you are subject to, that you are ignorant about? You're looking at the traffic, but you can't see the demons. You can't see what it is that they're inflicting upon you, both spiritually and literally while they're driving on the street. It's a federal offense. The ability to see that and to prove it with tangible evidence. And nobody is imagining anything. You all see that fake sun. That's how you're able to see. I've removed the illusions, and everyone can see now. Everyone can see that. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they are engaging in what is relevant positioning. That's why they maintain an environment. That's why the fake sun is setting on the opposite side of the same ARCO at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And who's stalking? That's stalking by definition. That's why you have that supernatural, because you're stalking. You're stalking. That's also not anybody's imagination. The entity that knows that is monitoring, the entity of demons, in other words, the government that is full of demons that are monitoring American citizens, knows who are those who are spiritually gifted. And that's why they target you at the outset. When you haven't even done anything, you don't even know that you're a target. But they know who you are and they know what your gifts are. In addition to the fact that you may have physical property, real property that the entity wants to steal from you, but you also represent a threat. You can be broke poor and have spiritual gifts and be targeted. Do not be confused because I have money and property that I was ignorant about and the entity targeted. That's relevant to what is a motive when you're prosecuting. But you do not have, and I have already spoken to, you do not have to have a dime. The entity is always remaining the criminal, and it's not going to be, oh, well, you're not rich, so they're not targeting you. Oh, you are, like the entity has stated, you're homeless, so they're not targeting you. Oh, well, homelessness is actually a direct result from your gang stalking me, which, as a matter of evidence, is proven even before you created this circumstance, which then you also use to try to defame me under laws that you don't even have jurisdiction under because you are engaged in surveillance, which you kept a secret from the American people so that you could maintain some false and malicious narrative that an American citizen whom the entity is targeting and knew from the outset is spiritually gifted is paranoid schizophrenic, okay? And that's because you don't know what the demon-possessed people are doing. You don't know what the government is doing, the government that's full of demon-possessed people. These are just the reality. I could not make this up. This is just the reality. The entity's engaging in this, and there is, by the way, no demon on the internet, because if you call yourself copying my content, you're inflicting harm, and do not be surprised when you find yourself in a federal court. I just want to be clear. You cannot copy this because you are not the targeted individual. This is no ordinary intellectual property. I will prosecute you for threatening my life while you are stealing my content. Stealing my ideas. Tracy Banks is not doing that by herself. If you are foolish enough to follow that demon off the precipice to your own demise, you deserve the federal case that's coming for you. You have been warned, and it's all over my content. And everyone knows where they are stealing it from. You know who I am, and if you claim ignorance, it will not be a defense in a courtroom. This is beyond intellectual property. It is evidence in a criminal case. Everybody knows what case this is. No one's ever brought this case before. You have not generated your own ideas. Anything that you have made, just like I will prosecute Starbucks for making money off of gang stalking me, I will drain your pockets. Your little puny pockets. Whatever subscribers you have, and you will be known as stealing from an American citizen who was being conspired against by the government. Because you think you're going to get clout. The clout is a federal case. This is not like stealing any other idea. You are in territory you do not want to be in. I suggest you back away. The federal government is already aware. You're stealing my ideas. They know where it came from. You cannot copy this because you are not actually subject to it. And those who have been subject to it before, they have never spoken to what it is that has been exposed. You are fully exposed, like somebody engaging, committing indecent exposure, walking around in the nude. Because those are not your ideas. You did not think any of that up. Stealing my content is very obvious. Very obvious. And you're not even good at it. But this is beyond making fun of you. I will prosecute you. You're threatening my life and you are threatening the lives of American citizens with regard to an ongoing federal case. You don't want any of those problems. You do not want that smoke. I'm telling you now, you will find yourself in federal court. This is a P.O.C. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing it with these puppets of Satan, stalking 8V, BT 808. And who's stalking where American Medical Response is stalking under the fake sun? The Ontario International Airport. Okay? These demons are engaged in that P.O.C., and these are demons that are delusional, stalking under a fake sun, stealing content on the internet, and doing so in front of the whole world all at the same time. All at the same time. These demons are surrounded with evidence, and by the way, the fact that you're stealing my content, whether I know your name or not, is evidence of criminal surveillance as well. You have helped create my case, letting the American people know that they are all under surveillance. There's no coincidences here.
You want to act like I'm the last person, the least interesting person, but yet you're making malicious assertions to the police who are simultaneously arriving when you just speak that malicious assertion like I hit you into the atmosphere. When they're engaging in what is arriving by stalking conspicuously in a helicopter, the moment that the entity is engaging in, the moment that I'm engaged in documenting, that is publishing the evidence on the internet. The moment that nobody is subscribed, I've got less than 200 subscribers who are all monitoring me. You're all stalkers, you're all demons sitting around watching. I just want to be clear, you have no idea how you are surrounded. You have no idea how you're surrounded. I've given warnings before. And the demon-possessed, this is the suicidal population. You're filled with the spirit of Satan, who is not logical, who is not strategic, who has no self-control. But you have been warned. You will find yourself in court because this is no ordinary YouTube channel. This is no ordinary content. This is evidence in a federal case, which is underway in real time. Just like interfering with any other federal investigation. Do you know what happens to people who interfere with federal investigations? They catch charges, federal charges. Just because you can't fathom it, you don't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, I'm going to put it very clearly. I suggest you put down my content. Because you're not just messing with what is an ongoing federal case, and I have all authority to maintain it. This is pursuant to an ongoing investigation which you're interfering with. This is the entity that is engaged in that while you are in real time witnessing criminal conduct in furtherance of my murder. And while you're engaging in that, the government's engaging in that P.O.C. with you. While you're profiting off of my content, you're catching federal charges that you have not fathomed, and I'm going to prosecute you. And it will be a matter of protecting American citizens. Okay, you're not going to serve coffee and profit off of federal group stalking and monitoring. You're not going to steal content, documentation of a government conspiring the murder of an American citizen. You're not going to do either. That's a RICO case, in case you did not know that. That's a RICO case which is executed on the internet. There will be laws to prosecute what the government is no longer secretly engaging in. You will catch smoke you have not anticipated. Put my content down. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 8:22 a.m. License 9MRE918, stalking with the Ontario International Airport that's doing cartwheels over the Saris Regis Group, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, stalking me at the intersection. License plate 7MOK118, license plate 9JBC318. These are the same demons that are on the internet stealing content. So you need to understand, it's the same entity. This is comprehensive surveillance as well. They're monitoring you as demons, okay? This is relevant to what is the tangible evidence that I provided with regard to criminal monitoring is stalking. Stalking, moreover, by a public entity. A public entity, the government that has no constitutional authority to do so. The American people have not consented to it, and the American people have not been told, informed, advised with regard to this surveillance system, which is proven. This is no conspiracy theory. So the entities engaging in this P.O.C., and I just want to be clear, the entities engaging in that, and they are doing so while they are conspiring murder. You're not going to be just prosecuted as a stalker. You're a stalker that's conspiring murder, because that's why the government is targeting. That's why the government's engaging in kidnappings. That's why the government's making up criminal accusations. That's what you're doing. You're plotting to kidnap and murder somebody. And death is reasonably resulting from the government engaging in this. It is absolutely reasonable to anticipate a loss of life where the government is unlawfully targeting someone. You are going to be charged under all circumstances for a conspiracy to commit murder when you're gang stalking. And these fools on the roads and the highways out here at the OVITT family community, they're just catching charges willy-nilly. They don't have any plans on getting out of federal prison. They plan on dying from this. They went all in. And that's fine. You lost, though. You bet your life when you thought you went in thinking that I'm going to lose mine, and you've lost yours. You clearly lost your mind. And you've lost your life, whether that is through the death spells that you sent out or because you're not getting out of prison. License 9LKH995. This is P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct. The entities engaged in this P.O.C. while all of the state of California is being prosecuted while the fake sun remains over me at 1 block. Okay, because that means that there's no natural environment in San Francisco, in Oakland, in Palo Alto, at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, at the Glendale DMV where I'm prosecuting, I'm documenting, and the Glendale Police Department are pacing along while I'm out in front of that Glendale DMV, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me in Rancho Cucamonga. When I'm at the Victoria Gardens, this is the entity that's engaging. This is already surrounding. While they're stalking as an airport, stalking as EMT, stalking as a fire department. And you are a fool to be stealing, touching my content. I suggest you drop it, because you've already accumulated what you've already done. I'm going to prosecute you for it. It's an unlawful threat. You're prolonging justice. That's a threat to an American citizen's life. And there is a direct nexus there. I have exactly what I need to prosecute you. I will prosecute you because you're threatening the lives of American citizens. I am creating what is the ability to protect American citizens who don't have the ability, the skill set, the knowledge, the sight to prove what the government is doing, what the government has been doing, murdering American citizens. License 9NPM 482. This is P.O.C. I'm going to show you again the entity's ongoing psychopathic stalking. Psychopathic pacing, okay? The pacing is literally the stalking. AJHE875, Union Pacific is the audible activity while this demon is stalking with the possible light. They're mentally ill. That's a psychopath. That's a demon-possessed person. Their demon possession is worn on the outside. It's no longer closeted where you don't know that because the spirit is invisible, but the behavioral pattern is tangible. Their demon possession is thereby on the outside. CGS0144 Washington. 7COL441. 9PED742. Latino male. Salt and pepper beard. 7AKL512. 8MAG472. And Babir, Babir, the clerk at Chevron. She's gang stalking while the entity has impulsive light moving across the top of the roof where this demon is reversing into. That's monitoring, while Union Pacific is the guise of audible activity. And there is absolutely no connection with regard to this demon backing into the gas stall, gang stalking at gas stall number 2, and the impulsive light activity that's occurring, moving on the roof. And I'm taking a picture of it right now at 8:26 a.m., where they're all stalking together. They're all monitoring together, and they're doing it in real time. Meaning a terrorist that is on video with a bomb walking toward the building that they intend to blow up. And you put it on video. Look, they're planning to blow up the building and kill all these people. And that demon, that terrorist does not put the bomb down and turn around and cease to engage in that. They continuously walk into that building, all right, and they try to detonate that bomb. And they are doing so in front of the entire, you'll be putting it on social media. I'm giving you an analogy what the demons are doing while they're gang stalking amongst ongoing real-time documentation. As though you're going to commit that murder in the face of the federal government, because that's what I am. I'm prosecuting this as under federal law. I'm maintaining a federal investigation, and you're doing it in front of everyone in real time. And the entities engaging in that while they are witnessing that ongoing evidence that's accumulated as though there are no consequences. You're delusional. And that ongoing conspiracy to commit murder with that level of impunity, that's informing charges and time and sentencing, time in prison. And these are demons that are immigrants. These are demons that are in custody of children. And you think that you're not a parent, Satan. You're a psychopath. This is the lack of brains, the lack of consciousness of these lawless psychopaths. You'll see that engineer light, Babir. She's gang stalking 9EHL194 with all of the demons that are going to have her deported, okay? Because she's gang stalking out, and so is Chevron, so is ARCO, so is Starbucks, so is U.S. Bank, so is UNICARE Community Health Center, so is everyone else, okay? But I'm at this venue right now. This is where the entity is concentrating playing activity as well. I'm going to prosecute you by what your co-defendants are doing. I'm going to prosecute you while the fake sun's over me at this same exact sign by the Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All you're doing is stalking, and Chevron, the business, is stalking. Chevron, the business, is psychologically torturing me, making money off of it. That's the federal RICO case. This is P.O.C. And these are the demons. These are the same co-conspirators of murder that are then on the internet stealing my content and ideas. And you are a whole delusional psychopath, because everyone knows you didn't think up any of that. And you can't even effectively study what it is that I'm stating and documenting or knowing the purpose of it. Because you're demons that are sitting around stalking and monitoring, and you don't even understand the significance of what you're doing because you're doing it off of impulse because you're demon possessed. You're demon possessed. So you listen to what it is that I'm explaining about. You're pathetic, and you're catching more charges. And if I prosecute you for not only gang stalking, which is exactly what that is, while you're on the internet stealing my content, understand gang stalking is a term of art. It's a term of art. It's not just in relevant position. It's at a sophisticated level in the courts, where you are violating the law, a targeted individual, exercising fictitious authority. That is gang stalking, and they're also literally gang stalking in the path with the fake sons over the court. They're engaged in the elements of monitoring, and they call themselves DAs and PDs and judges and deputies, and they're a bunch of demons that are pacing all around, imitating the criminal justice system, the court system. committing kidnappings and committing criminal defamation so that they, as a corrupt government that's stalking me every day and night in planes and helicopters, and you're just gonna leave that out? You're delusional. You are delusional. You're going to prison. You're going to prison. And your genius buddies out here stalking me day and night, they are putting you sitting on the bench in prison, and you know who you are because I told you when I saw your face, you're going to prison, federal prison. I already told you what your fate is. You're going to federal prison. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and you are gang stalking, the term of art, criminal surveillance, and it's comprehensive, and it's an unlawful threat. While that pattern of conduct is underway, you shall not under any circumstances interfere with the federal investigation which American citizens have the ability to initiate because of the criminal activity of the government itself. The power has been put in your hands to initiate that case, to inform the feds where you're at and what you're subject to. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist. I've shown you what the P.O.C. looks like. You don't have to memorize and speak in the manner that I do. You don't have to have a law degree. You don't have to be an attorney. I've established the precedent. They know, the feds know what to look for. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they publish it on the internet, you're engaging in what is stealing somebody's internet. You are a fool. You are a fool. Just like these demons out here, because I'm going to drag you in court. You're going to regret it. The entity, not only, and you're broke. You're broke. 9C YV861, another demon, a sex offender stalking me in a school bus. Okay? You're broke because you're on YouTube trying to steal somebody else's content and make money and try to grow subscribers and try to claim it as your own. Okay, clearly you're broke. You're broke intellectually. You're broke with regard to creativity, and you're broke with regard to morality and ethics, and you're also broke literally while you are trying to accumulate a following and make money off of that. And I want to be clear, the entity, the social media platforms, they have a responsibility. You are surrounded. You have no idea what's coming for you. They have a responsibility in the same role that they play, making all this money. In the same play, the role that they play with regard to surveillance, which is no longer a secret, underway on the internet, they do maintain and they shall maintain a responsibility. A level of quote-unquote policing, if you will. When you're looking at content in the same way that you want to pluck and pull out and remove what you find to be a quote-unquote violation of your platform rules, which is not going to interfere with federal law, by the way. You are not superseding federal law, and you're not going to facilitate it in the ways in which you have, like what I've documented Facebook, what I've documented TikTok, what I've documented YouTube. Engaging in, I'm going to prosecute you. It's a threat to American citizens' life. Criminal surveillance is not a secret. These baboons in Ontario, in the state of California, have helped to establish what are necessary policies. And it's exactly what's going to happen. You're not getting away with targeting American citizens. You're not going to do it in a bubble. You're not going to do it and then steal their evidence on the internet and then profit off it. You're not doing any of that. And you're not doing any of this in secret either. The entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and I want to be clear, you are surrounded in addition to what is knowledge, okay? But with regard to what is interfering with my federal case, understand what you have done to me, the one that you should not have targeted, you are doing with regard to the ways in which federal law are going to surround terrorists. License 87201 Apple 3. License 8XYB846. License 7TGN055. Terrorists that are engaging in gang stalking in real time, right here in relevant position, and guess what they're doing? They go right on the internet and steal my content while I document them. You're not getting away with that. And platforms that are making a lot of money, by the way, that are engaged in surveillance, they're engaged in surveillance throughout the states. They are in the states. How many of them are headquartered right in California? I'll go ahead and wait because you can count them. Okay? They're engaged in surveillance, and I've documented the entire state of California. You are going to be what is commissioned with a responsibility with regard to what is the unlawful threat posed, including while the entity is engaging in surveillance online, including on your platforms where an unlawful threat to an American citizen is underway, and you're not going to make money from it. You're going to find yourself in a case. You're going to find yourself in a federal case. And it is absolutely constitutional, honey. It is absolutely within the rights of an American citizen to enforce what is a corrupt entity that's engaging in a comprehensive means of targeting. It's going to be a comprehensive prosecution. All right? License 8RYZ567, pacing with the Ontario International Airport. 9CBU140. There's no takeoffs over here. The entity was acting like they were landing at the Ontario Town Square last night. Okay, this is why you document, because the demons that are psychopaths that are obsessed with my vagina, while it's exposed inside of the OVITT Family Community Library and pacing all around like psychopaths, while you're acting like you're landing there, all I do is go somewhere else, and you see that was nothing other than the P.O.C. 8ZHR298, a vagina monitor, pacing all around, ambushing me while I walk out of the OVITT Family Community Library yesterday evening while they're engaging in vagina monitoring with minors, okay? Like I'm documenting on video. That minor is stalking in the path with the demon with their foot on the brake, that's stalking with light, the vehicle that they are aware that I'm going to walk toward in that parking lot. That's called lying in wait conduct, very predatory, very psychotic, while you're stalking as an airport where there's no takeoffs south or landings. You're doing nothing other than stalking. All of it is outside of where Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 have any or conducting any takeoffs, and then you're also hovering miles away from that airport. Okay, and it's also relevant where the fake sun is remaining. You have 8:28 a.m., 8:29 a.m. over the same entrance where I'm capturing it at 10:11 a.m., at the same entrance where I captured it at 12:39 p.m., at that same library when I go into a window and I show you that same fake sun that's present at 4:12 p.m. That's where those demons with minor children are monitoring my vagina and then lying in wait outside of that library, the OVITT Family Community Library, where I'm targeted by the Ontario International Airport in concert with minor children, a whole population, businesses, the government itself, local, state, and federal, keeping me under surveillance in furtherance of murder. And the entity's psychopathic conduct, which I document, stalking me from place to place, where there's no takeoffs and landings behind the 280 North Limit Apartments in the Ontario City Hall. It's nothing other than housing back there. Nothing. And the airport is south of Hope Boulevard. Okay, and not only that, it's south of Hope Boulevard and it's east of Vineyard Avenue. They're far away from the airport. The entity's engaging in what is this morning, where the fake sun is over me, is stalking right here at this same intersection. That's the entity that's going to be prosecuted, okay? The Ontario International Airport are full of the demon-possessed that are stalking on the roads and the highways, and this is relevant to the mental illness of a population that engages in what is stealing content online, omnitrans, psychopathic pacing, and furtherance of murder. Bus number 2359, molestation, sex offender, omnitrans, license 1545838. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct. What you see on the video, by the way, the video that I captured during the 7 a.m. hour, and I'm on the same street and the sun hasn't gone anywhere, but you're wondering how is it sunny in Florida? That's what you're paying attention to when baboons that are demon-possessed are stalking. 9NLX297 under a fake sun, which is a clear indicator of mental illness shared by a population that's engaged in criminal conduct that is very obvious to the federal government. And it's directly relevant to what's going on online on the internet. The entity is engaging in this P.O.C. and what the entity is engaging in, I want to be clear, omnitrans is gang stalking by using out-of-service buses. It's the same pattern of conduct. And they do so, that's how obsessed with me they are. They will cross path outside of what is the published bus schedule so that they can share in what is the hatred of the demon-possessed. They hate me not only because they're demons, they hate me because I've documented, because I've associated their brand regarding what they're guilty of. Okay, so you're understanding what is first spiritual, because these are demons that own these businesses. These are demons that are operating and running these businesses. And they're hostile because of that first. They're also hostile because when I expose your business, I'm exposing your demon possession at the same time. So understand that with regard to that pattern of conduct. And you're also angry because I'm going to prosecute you. So, but that demon is delusional and engaging in what is evidence of stalking, as you're looking at what they're doing last night at OVITT Family Community Library under a fake sun that's present at 4:12 p.m. Look at what I published. That's the entity. It's on the opposite side of this apartment where there are no takeoffs also, and the airport is stalking. You're landing over there, but you're over here at ARCO where the fake sun is remaining on this same block after 4 p.m. This is an entity, like I stated, onto the internet is where the ongoing investigation is maintained. I'm publishing my evidence about this on the internet. That is naturally going to occur. And it is known, this is massive surveillance in the United States. We are under surveillance. I hate to break this to you, but the reality, we are under surveillance by those that are outside of the United States. We're under surveillance on the internet by those that are outside of the United States. Meaning outside of this country, because we can have those that are affiliated with our government outside of the U.S. I mean those that are outside of the U.S., even though the U.S. doesn't have constitutional authority. So that's not a level of comfort to say, oh, well, it's the U.S., but they're outside of the country. They don't have constitutional authority to keep us under surveillance. You don't have privacy. Okay? This illusion regarding they have to have a warrant, you have to be under an investigation, and they have to seek that from a judge, that's to make you feel comfortable. It's an illusion. The specific environment is letting you know where they're going to the courthouse from that judge, and that fake son is over that courthouse, and they're issuing a warrant to give that law enforcement agency what is a piece of paper that is serving what is an ongoing illusion, where they're publishing and sharing what it is that they're doing on an ongoing investigation. These demons are keeping themselves employed. They're maintaining an illusion while they are monitoring spirits, engaging in what is ongoing satanic means of surveilling you. Things like witchcraft. You are being watched even without cameras. The demon possessed, Satan himself. People that have these spiritual gifts and they are able to watch you. Now you can't prosecute in court with that. Okay, but this is how you know that I'm letting you in on what is actually going on. These are demons that are engaging in what is demonic activity. They know exactly what's going on with you. They are sex offenders, and they think that you'll never know that they're sex offenders because they're remote viewing you, or they're engaging in witchcraft in order to watch you. They're engaging in what is summoning demonic spirits in order to get intel on your vagina regarding wanting to see you in the nude and violate you. In addition to what is surveillance, your Ring cameras. The Ring cameras that are connected to your devices, your desktop computer in your office, your laptops, your communication devices that are connected to the clocks in your home, the stereo system in your home, which all of it are pretty much connected with these products that you're purchasing from gang stalkers such as Amazon, gang stalkers such as these venues where I'm showing you can buy these products, and they are all relevant to connecting to the Wi-Fi, your internet connection from Spectrum, Gang Stalker, Frontier, Gang Stalker. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. with regard to all means of what are an intricate and elaborate and comprehensive means of surveillance, both physically, spiritually, and also electronically, okay? And that's in violation. That's the entity that's engaging in what is federal stalking. It's also federal stalking with regard to your ability to prove that demons are surveilling you on your devices, and that's what the P.O.C. provides. It's pulling the demonic into the physical in order to prosecute Satan. The criminalization of their demonic activity. 3694916, Indiana. BLS Environmental Solutions is a sex offender, and they are stalking me with the Ontario police, who are equally demon-possessed, pacing under the fake sun, and everybody already knows that. They're being disbanded. They provided so much evidence. You're talking about every single last judge. They're going to prison for sharing in the kidnappings that I've been subject to. While those gang members have been keeping me under surveillance, they're going to prison. That's how bright they are. Okay? That's how bright they are. They're going to federal prison for engaging in that, and they're doing so with regard to what is surveilling evidence that is also being published online. So that's what I'm focusing in today. You need to understand the entity that has stolen my content online. This is no ordinary content. You are not free to engage in that. And in these times of criminal surveillance, you're talking about what is necessarily being maintained intentionally as the Wild Wild West. Why? On the internet. Why? It's not because laws are just, they're so slow to catch up with the reality of what's going on in these day and age, and it's referred to as the Wild Wild West. No, let me be clear. We're under surveillance. It is intentionally maintained in the Wild Wild West as a reference to in the vernacular regarding the absence of laws, adequate laws to legislate and deal with what should happen with regard to people's, for example, social media platforms. You can just steal somebody else's idea and you don't have any consequences because there's no laws about it. This is not that. And whether you acknowledge that or not, or whether you realize it or not, that's not a defense in a courtroom where I'm going to prosecute you. This is an ongoing federal case. And it's going to be treated just like that in court. And you know why? Because the government's the criminal. So an American citizen has to take it amongst themselves to prove that. And it is going to be treated with that upright respect and treated in the dignified manner that it shall be, just like any other investigation where the government is feigning having authority that it doesn't even have. Who else is going to prosecute the government for conspiring the murder of American citizens but one that is subject to it? This is a real case, and I am maintaining it myself, and it's going to be treated just like any other case. And if you were foolish enough to interfere with it, I'm going to prosecute you. This is not ordinary intellectual property. It is solely mine. And the audacity to interfere with someone's ongoing case, a federal prosecutor, a federal investigator would have a field day with you, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You're a fool because if you're mistaking the forum of the social media, internet, where you are necessarily publishing evidence with regard to a public entity that is targeting you, and the inability to seek redress in the court, and I've already proven that, what Thomas Garza and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department are doing with regard to evading service of process, which is a criminal act, while actively conspiring my murder. I've already shown the necessity and the exclusivity regarding the forum, which is the internet. It's absolutely necessary. You are not going to interfere with an ongoing federal investigation, which is exactly what this is, which is exactly what the ongoing gang stalking by the city of Ontario, the state of California is, the ongoing kidnappings by the state of California, the city of Ontario, that's what that is, ongoing interference, obstruction of justice, you're going to prison. You're going to federal prison, and you're going to federal prison for that, that's obstruction, and you're going to federal prison for gang stalking, period. Because gang stalking police officers are terrorists, and you're going to prison. You're going to prison where you belong, like any other terrorist of the United States. What is Osama bin Laden? Okay, I just want to be clear. It is not different with those that want to be treated and masquerade as police officers, and they are actually predators. They join law enforcement to get away with criminal activity. They share in it. They are malicious psychopaths, predators, creeping all around me all day long, listening to me breathe while I sleep, listening and monitoring while I pull my panties down in the bathroom, keeping me under surveillance, and having agents pacing all around me all day long. And the evidence is that specific environment. They're not only crazy, they're not only criminally stalking, they're conspiring murder based on the position that they have, and they have no business engaging in that. And they are maliciously doing so while holding those positions because you would never, but for the P.O.C., even believe in American citizen. It is very much an ongoing case, an investigation, and it's going to be treated as such. It's going to be respected, and including under federal law, and American citizens are not going to be subject to what is the ongoing demise while a government is going to basically trample all over their case. And I want to be clear, it is the government. You're not speaking as an individual on your social media platforms. I understand that you don't understand what's happening to you. I get it. But you are already surrounded because of the system of surveillance. The surveillance is the government's pattern of conduct. You are not speaking as an individual. You are not exercising First Amendment speech rights. You are speaking, acting, and present. That is stalking on behalf of the state. You're in their shoes. The government doesn't have any freedom of speech rights to engage in what is targeting. The government doesn't have a right to keep me under surveillance where I live through the people of the state. The government doesn't have the right under the law to engage in any means of the pattern of conduct. It's all state action. What Starbucks is engaging in, what Chevron is engaging in, what American Airlines is engaging in, what the Ontario International Airport is engaging in. That's all state action. While license plate 5NKD033 is crossing path, they're engaging in the state's pattern of conduct, and it is state action. They have been removed from what is any sort of First Amendment right, private speech. Nothing is private when you're in the specific environment, when the pattern of conduct is underway. And I've shown that as I go from state to state, as I go from city to city, county to county. The state is maintaining a P.O.C. through the people of the state. These are vicarious state actors, and they're highly unintelligent, and that goes on the internet. You are not speaking as an individual. I will prosecute you. You represent the state, threatening my life. You're not going to steal my property. That is evidence to prosecute you. You're delusional. You'll go to federal prison, and it's relevant to what is a RICO case. While you're gaining subscribers and you're making money off of that content, right? And you're playing around with what is evidence, make it trifling with a federal investigation? You are far out of your boundaries. You're way out of line. You are entirely out of line. Okay, your envy has caused you to a level of delusion, which is going to have you on 23-hour lockdown. 7ZAR425. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and it is going straight to what is state action on the internet. Any money that you've made, any popularity that you've garnered. I want to be clear, it's relevant to what is criminal activity, which is simultaneously underway while you are maintaining what is a so-called means of social media, gaining that any sort of money. That's a RICO case, and it's state action as well. You're not speaking as an individual, so you better watch your mouth. You better watch your mouth. This is P.O.C. This is prosecuting the government that thought that it was clever enough to act to a whole population of demons, and it's not. It's a massive, epic, historic means of prosecuting the U.S. government that is, unfortunately, not different from third world countries, oppressing and targeting American citizens. The only difference is that the United States is more barbaric, if you will, because they like to put on a suit and tie, and they like to make a lot of money while they conspire the lives of American citizens, even brokies that collect government benefits. License 7NVT003. Lowlifes, okay, that will take a new Honda Civic in order to conspire the murder of an American citizen. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 8:49 a.m. The entity is indeed engaged in that pattern of conduct, and this is relevant to what is surveillance that is proven. While the entity has engaged in any means of replicating every idea, it's already known. I want to be clear. It's already known. You didn't think that up. You did not think it up, and I want to be clear. Ignorance is not a defense in court. So let me give you a very basic law school, well, it's not even law school, but a legal administrative course in community college, okay? But this is the entity that's engaging in that POC. Ignorance is not a defense. So when you're walking into the OVITT Family Community Library, all these demons walking in with their newborn babies and pacing all around with the middle schoolers, and they're all engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's malicious. It's a fake sun. It remained until 4/18, as I documented it. They are not ignorant, but even so, these are psychopaths. I don't know anything. I never look up at the sun. I don't know the target individual. I never met anybody at the Ontario Police. I don't know anything about the airport. How do I know? Ignorance is not a defense. You're going to be prosecuted. The unlawful threat posed to an American citizen supersedes what you would like to claim is your ignorance. It is also unreasonable. I've already established the pattern of conduct. The entity is not ignorant about this specific environment that's remaining around me, while they are simultaneously maintaining that behavioral pattern in that environment. You claiming that you're ignorant, you have already been overwhelmed with evidence, and I am already in a position to prosecute every single last person. The entity is engaging in that, and ignorance is not a defense. I just want to let you know it includes on the internet. You didn't know that you were getting an idea, stealing an idea, replicating an idea from somebody else that stole it from a target individual. It is not a defense, and you are going to be prosecuted just like a predator that is seeking to dilute whatever these demons think that they're doing. You're not diluting anything. You are serving my prosecutorial purposes, creating what is legislation to protect American citizens in the U.S. with regard to prosecuting a government that is targeting American citizens that were formerly unprotected out here. Defamed, kidnapped, murdered. You are not, sir, not only that, the case is already complete. Let me put it that way. The case is already complete. You were foolish enough to, I just want to be clear. I don't care where you got it from. I don't care if you thought that you were going to take it, flip it, and just use different verbiage, and then add your own little twist and zest to it. What are my ideas? What is my content? What is serving for what is threatening my life, i.e. American citizens' lives? What is interfering with the federal case? An ongoing unlawful act of obstruction. You are going to be prosecuted for it, and ignorance is not a defense. You do not have a First Amendment right, freedom of speech. That's not what this is. You are engaging in the state's pattern of conduct while you're engaging in obstruction. Any and everything that is facilitating this pattern of conduct, where, by the way, the government's not helping you because they're still gang stalking me today, that is serving the exact policy that I am speaking and advocating on. It is an ongoing real-time threat to the life of an American citizen. That life that remains under threat. They are still stalking as though they're going to commit some sacrifice in the midnight hour, and no one's going to know what happened to Erica Spencer. And then all of a sudden, all the defamation that happened in the court, that's going to ring true, and everybody's just going to erase all the evidence, and then you're going to that's going to make everything, even though it is outside of the bounds of the law, all of a sudden it's just going to be in accordance with the law. That's never going to happen. It's not. What is outside of the process and the policies regarding the operation of a court that owes due process rights to American citizens under all circumstances is not going to then be retroactively made legitimate were some witchcraft spell to operate and I just drop dead in the middle of the night. That is not going to happen, and that is also not going to be the effect on laws that are violated. Satan cannot deal with facts. You cannot deal with what is logical reasoning, legal reasoning. These demons were never prepared for that. None of that is happening. None of that is going to happen. It remains a violation of the law. And by the way, the evidence that you've been targeting the entire time is directly relevant to what you are going to be held accountable for. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. This is the P.O.C. This demon that's engaged in ongoing, this very mentally ill. This African-American male, he is out of his mind. He's a serial stalker. All right, he's a psychopath pacing the side of the library with all those other employees and all the rest of those demons going in the library stalking me all day long. License 6BNU400, serial stalker in the maroon red Mountaineer. Okay, nowhere to live. Okay, clearly out of his mind, but that demon has him focused on me. All right, this is the entity that's going to be prosecuted and diagnosed with regard to what is necessary commitment. I just want to document that. The entity's keeping the fake sun over me as I am capturing it right now at 8:54 a.m. All right, this is the P.O.C. I want to go in on because I have spoken to a degree about this, but it's not my job to run down and let an entity of fools that thought that they were going to murder an American citizen. No, I'm going to let you walk into that trap, what you think that you're doing. Because at a common sense level, you should have known that you just should have stopped stalking me a long time ago. You couldn't even put that together because you're still doing it. And you're doing it in front of the world, moreover. I just want to be clear with regard to this country, with regard to the United States. This is not just serving a prosecution. You don't understand how this is harming our state, our status on an international scene. This is very harmful. But this is the reality, and I'm doing what it is that I've been called to do. But you need to understand, those of us in the United States, those that are listening and paying attention, this is very harmful to the state where we stand with regard to our international partners, if you will, with regard to where we stand with regard to legitimacy, anything coming out of the mouth of the president of the United States, regardless of your opinion of him, regardless of his politics and what you think about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the United States as we exist, a nation, what we stand for, and how other nations will consider us, how they respect us. Okay? You're talking about what is a means of soft power and hard power. Legitimacy, not being taken seriously. That's a threat. That is a threat to how we stand internationally. This is not good, but I'm not going to keep it a secret. But this is very much not good. That the government looks like they are bat-poo crazy. This is horrible. The way that we look on an international scale. Other countries, all the other peoples around the world are looking at this. These are demons. This is the work of Satan. And this was never, and by this I mean this system, the United States government, the United States as a nation, as a people, there's nothing that states in scripture that this is going to last forever, okay? And you already know, if you know the Bible, this is not going to last forever. But what I'm stating is, you're talking about what are detrimental, self-destructive conduct of a people, of a nation. It's destroying itself. You are attracting your own demise. People are looking and they're laughing at the United States. That's horrible. If you've ever, I studied politics, and your understanding with regard to what is image is everything. Presentation is everything. With regard to power and our relationships with other countries. And you're talking about what becomes the conversation piece regarding what your own citizens are subject to. And this is not going to remain, so it's not a secret now, and it's going to be even bigger news. This is harmful for the United States. It's not just about prosecuting Mike Lorenz. This is harmful for the United States, that Mike Lorenz is in the same sentence as Osama bin Laden, as 9/11, the Ontario International Airport, and the same threat posed by what was terrorism that looks just like what the Ontario International Airport is doing. Who is actually responsible? What we were told about. The fact that you can't trust what they're telling us. They didn't even tell us that we're under surveillance. And somebody has to be subject to it. Somebody like myself has to take that on, that Herculean feat. That's something that an American citizen is not designed to. Nobody is typically able to naturally engage in what the P.O.C. is, but by the glory of God, the grace of God, Christ Jesus himself, who has said, this is the line, and you passed it. And now everyone is being exposed, including the United States government. This is not looking good. They do not look good on paper. I just want to make sure that that's clear. But this is like, I don't have international, well, I will say I am, as an American citizen, I am very much interested in the state of my country and the nation, but I don't have aspirations regarding, international etiquette. The way that we are, the way that we appear, and that very much matters. When you want to be looked at as a superpower. Okay, and that's how the United States has been trying to maintain itself. And you're just not going to be taken seriously when you're engaged in this level of buffoonery. They look there, and they're making the country. It's not just the city of Ontario. It's not just the state. And this is something that, this is what I mean, and this is also speaking to what is necessary, because in order to redeem that, the federal law has to make a sizable response and make sure it is abundantly clear that we do not stand for this as a country. That's what's going to happen, because this is making the United States a laughing stock, a joke. And I just want to be clear, the demon-possessed, they don't care anything about this country. They're delusional with regard to one world order and taking over and we're gonna rule. You're not ruling anything. They don't even rule their own minds. They're out here slinging light. They're gargoyles. They're psychotic. They're crazy. And they're in positions that they need to be snatched out of. They are embarrassing this country. While I am speaking the truth, and I'm going to continue to speak the truth, there is a responsibility here, though, because now you're talking about how are you going to redeem what looks like a joke of the within the United States. You're talking about martial law. You're talking about making it abundantly clear that what California is engaged in does not represent what this country is about. And that's why that response is what has occurred. That's why. I just want to be clear on that. Now, with regard to what's going on the internet, I'm done with that. With regard to what's going on the internet, because of the reality of criminal surveillance, this is state speech. You're not speaking as an individual. The entity has no idea with regard to how law applies regarding what you are doing. And there are legal implications regarding every act that you're making. The government's pattern of conduct, I went through and I've already established that this is the state's pattern of conduct. The people of the state where they live and work and as they travel are engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. There's no coincidence with Chino and Azusa and Pomona and Bakersfield and Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada sharing in a pattern of conduct. That's the state's P.O.C. That's the U.S. government, including state to state. Seamless, ongoing, ceaseless pattern of conduct. It's the state's pattern of conduct, and the people of the state are sharing in the government's criminal system. You're not speaking as an individual, honey. You are speaking as a state, and that's why I said you better watch your mouth. The entity's engaged in defamation. You're going to analyze the stalker. What's the stalker wearing? What's the stalker's position? What's the stalker saying? What's the stalker doing while they're saying it? What's the stalker's history while they're saying and doing that? All of that's relevant to what you're going to be subject to in a federal court. The entities engaging in this on the venue of the internet where the government is maintaining surveillance. That's literally relevant to this specific environment. The fake sun, the engineer light, the whole significance of them pacing all around. Yes, it is a ritual, and yes, you are going to prosecute not because they're witches and warlocks, but because they're engaged in what is proven through tangible evidence, targeting in an environment that is directly correlating to the operation of devices, and that is violation of your privacy, absent any warrant or probable cause. No legitimate interest. Is even worse than that. There's no legitimate interest for the government to maintain this surveillance. They're doing it in bathrooms. You're nothing but a sex offender. All right? It's beyond warrantless searches. It's beyond that. There is no legitimate interest whatsoever. And it is not just unconstitutional. It is inhumane. Monitoring. So the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are on the venue of the internet, where you are not speaking as an individual. The pattern of conduct by the government is underway on the internet, implicating federal law, interstate commerce. What are they all doing? Monitoring with communication devices. I've tied all of this around her. These are demons that are unintelligent. They're already surrounded. They are in a chokehold. Okay? I have them in a chokehold. So I just wanted to briefly give you a succinct estimation regarding what the entity's been doing. I don't have to read you your rights. You want to be a fool? You want to be suicidal? With regard to a prosecution, that's your business, because I warned you a long time ago. You are absolutely surrounded. I will prosecute you and your little puny, anorexic YouTube channel, stealing my content and threatening the lives of an American citizen, because that's what I advocate on. That's what I represent. It's not just me enforcing my rights. I'm speaking for those who are subject to this in this country, and this is establishing precedent. If you come for mine, you're coming for American citizens, and that is not going to stand. I will prosecute you. You are doing so in the shoes of the government. The government's not going to stalk you, and then the government steal your content, proving that they're stalking you. That's absurdly delusional. You're going to be prosecuted just like in any other case, and it is relevant to laws like the RICO. It is relevant to what is criminal obstruction, interfering with the federal investigation. This is very much a federal case. And it's a federal case against the entity, the government, which includes the people of the state. Okay? Just want to document what you saw yesterday. You see the third party. Actually, he's a state actor. His name is Gregory, actually. Gregory is the one that's limping in Engineer Light. That's activity creation. He's engaged in the P.O.C. under the fake sun. It is currently 9:03 a.m. And he even engaged in what is delaying his crossing of path conduct so that he can cross path with me just like he did yesterday during the 8 a.m. hour. And you saw that fake sun remaining over his workplace while he's gang stalking me, limping inside of the Oakland Family Community Library all day long, where that fake sun is remaining after 4 p.m. This is Gregory that's going to be limping in a federal prison. Okay, Gregory's been engaged in prolonged criminal surveillance to furtherance of my murder. Gregory is a psychopath. And Gregory's engaging in that psychopathic conduct is that self-destructive tendency to engage in more damning conduct, which is documented for your prosecution. Only people that are mentally ill and delusional engage in that, and that's because he is demon-possessed. Okay, that's the P.O.C. I just took pictures of that right now. It's 9:04 a.m. There is no environment at OVITT Family Community Library that's natural, other than the fact that him, that's Gregory, and every other employee, there's a whole expansive PDF document in order to prosecute the kidnappers and the sex offenders of the OVITT Family Community Library that are engaged in the pattern of conduct, engaging in what is kidnapping with the gang members of the Ontario Police Department. They're going to federal prison. You defame my character, you beg the federal government to put you in prison because that's where you're going, okay? I'm the last person you should have ever sought to. It would have been better for you to just gang stalk me, but don't dare speak on my character, okay? That's a whole other level, and you're going to prison for that. They engage in what is like I stated yesterday, they're engaging in sexual violence with children. They're engaging in criminal activity with children. They're engaging in conspiracy to murder with children. And then they are then defaming my character and accusing me, June 16, 2022. The same stalkers, the same entity, you know, all the P.O.C. The gang stalker police, fire and ambulance, airport, and OVITT Family Community Library, which represents the entire, while a library is gang stalking me, that's the whole city of Ontario. While the city of Ontario is gang stalking, that's the state of California. It's the pattern of conduct. Don't get married. Don't marry yourself. Marry yourself to an image. It's showing you how this surveillance system is operating. So I'm at the library and you're looking at that pattern of conduct, which is ceaselessly underway. That's letting you know that the entire city is engaged in that pattern of conduct in the same manner. Now, I have thoroughly documented in order to prosecute the OVITT Family Community Library, which is the city of Ontario, and they are going to prison for kidnapping pursuant to what is criminal summoning, criminal defamation, and doing so while they're engaged in federal stalking the entire time. Very highly malicious and psychotic conduct. Demons that are like Gregory under the fake sun at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then in federal court, I just want to be clear, he's going to be limping and silent because there is no defense to be in that specific environment where criminal surveillance is proven beyond a reasonable doubt and to a scientific degree, and you being at work is literally an admission that you're gang stalking me with the government. It's designed to coexist for their convenience, where they work, where they travel, where they live, okay? And they're doing that in furtherance of murder, where OVITT Family Community Library has a fake sun from sunrise until sunset at that. And they're doing so while they're monitoring my vagina, stalking me in bathrooms, and then accusing me in order to kidnap me, pursuant to my ongoing federal investigation that I'm molesting children. And that is on the record. They're going to prison. All right? Kidnapping is a federal charge of terrorism, and so is criminal defamation, because that's how the government is kidnapping you in their jails. While they're stalking you and then claiming that you committed a crime, that's called a kidnapping. While they're accusing you of a crime that you didn't commit, that's defamation. Whether or not it is defamatory, well, it is defamatory because it's accusing you of a crime that you didn't commit, but whether or not it is speaking to your mental state, mental health, stating that you're mentally ill and you're a paranoid schizophrenic, or you're a criminal and you try to break into a building, okay, you harass somebody. All right, and even that, they try to contort into mental, oh, you're harassing people because you're paranoid and you think everybody is stalking you and nobody's stalking you, and those are all the demons of the faith. They're going to prison for that. Very highly malicious state action. The government system, this is the prosecution of a system that is corrupt. A system, and I've shown you exactly how it operates, and those that are engaging in that, they're going to prison. The city of Ontario is being gutted out, okay? And that's just because the evidence is so long. The receipts are so long. Okay, but this is a prosecution. San Diego, Pomona, Los Angeles, Rialto, San Bernardino, Fontana, Azusa, Chino, Upland. Yeah, I've documented ongoing for years the pattern of conduct. The entities engaged in this P.O.C. and Ontario, the city of Ontario is not the only. This is an entity. Okay, they are going to be made an example out of because the city of Ontario committed kidnapping, which is the entity. All of the state, the U.S. government committed kidnapping. Now, the U.S. government now has a responsibility to respond because the U.S. government is being forced to do the right thing. But for the P.O.C., the federal government is engaged in targeting me, yes. And they're also engaged in what is watching me maintain an investigation proving that. And the federal government, that same federal government is going to have to come in and give me justice. And I have outlined and highlighted and underscored the ways in which and how that justice is going to appear. All right, so this is in how it's going to take form. The entities engaging in this P.O.C, and this is relevant to the entity gang stalk. Ontario Town Square is steps away. It's across the same sidewalk over here. It's the same civic center where the fake son is present at 4:12 p.m. That's where Gregory is limping in engineer light monitoring me. Gregory is an employee at OVITT Family Community Library, and this is a stalker that is waiting for this very foolish conduct, okay? And all they're doing inside, just like they are now, pacing, lying in wait, stalking, monitoring my movement, aware of everything, including my vagina. That's what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. They're pacing back and forth, pacing back, by pacing, I mean everything that I do on the desktop computer, every move, every physical move that I make, literally my body movements, my digestion, my blinking, I move my pinky finger too abruptly, I get up to go walk to the trash can, I go ask for some disinfectant wipes, I talk to them, I speak with anybody, I upload or log on and off to Wi-Fi, I go to the restroom, I walk from one end to the other of the library. These demons are stalking me inside of a building. And you know who they're stalking on behalf of? The Ontario Police Department, who are outside stalking in helicopters, which I've shown the body of evidence. I'm ambushed as I walk outside of that venue. Stalking by commercial planes, which I've documented, I've already proven. And there are no I've proven that it's not just the presence of the planes. I'm showing you even more evidence. There are no terminals where they are even flying over, next to, in front of, beside of the venue of the OVITT Family Community Library. And it's all relevant to what is science, which is going to prosecute a demonic entity where the fake sun is remaining from sunrise until sunset. This entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are surrounded. I mean, you're surrounded by feds with their guns pointed at you, and you're still going about as though this is an entity that is engaging in very foolish activity, because that's exactly how severe and serious it is, and they're engaging, and they have been for a very long time. And I want to be clear, the federal case, the federal judge, federal law is going to be cognizant of that. This is an entity that, to an American citizen, thought that they were going to murder me and get out of this criminal activity that they've committed. And then also profit off it. Lie on my name, murder my name, kill me as a person, and then abscond away with my money. That's what they literally plotted. And they're still engaging in that. And they're doing it in front of you, federal judge, who's going to give me justice. And you're going to be cognizant of that. And it's not just me. This is establishing precedent. This is establishing the United States stance against terrorism in the United States, which is making us a joke, a mockery internationally. It is currently 9:12 a.m. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. A bunch of psychopaths sitting around engaging in surveillance at the Ontario Town Square, including with the leaf blower. That's Brightview. All right, this is P.O.C. And in case I did not state it, it is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And the entity is indeed stalking with the fake sun that's still over me on the same street. I captured that video at 7. It's 9:15. That's the pattern of conduct right there. How is the sun anywhere in Florida 3 hours ahead? The sun that's in Florida is not this object that's adjacent to this clock at 224 North Euclid Avenue. It's not the same object. This is the entity that is surrounded with evidence. The asininity of stalking as a demon-possessed that is, quote unquote, inferior. That's what they are. The demon-possessed entity is inferior, while they engage in obsessive conduct. And their obsession is because they are mentally ill. Their demon possession is synonymous with mental illness. Okay? That's the P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaging in that. Those are the same gang members engaging in criminal summoning. The demons that are manifesting while they use their police lights and their sirens, that's a demon that's manifesting right before your eyes. Demons have no business in law enforcement. They have no business bearing weapons. Demons that are in those positions, they commit murder. And they are serial killers, cold-hearted serial killers who use those positions to get away with murder. And that corrupt system enables it, facilitates it, calls itself investigating it, and explains it away with regard to facts and circumstances that they engineer as needed. And this is relevant to what is gang stalking, as they hone in on any American citizen that could be subject to it, bullied by it. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:13 a.m. on January 15th, 2026. License plate, Wells Fargo, 240 North Euclid Avenue, gang stalking, criminal summoning. License plate 9VYR384. They're engaged in monitoring me with the Ontario Police Department, and they're systematically engaging the P.O.C. for a term of years. Employees, Systematic maintenance, it's all the ways in which you are systematically gang stalking, whether you're my coworker, my employer, whether I go to the library every day, day in and day out, whether you engage in what is obstruction of justice by threatening kidnapping, criminal summoning to remove me while I'm maintaining what is a right, a human right and a constitutional right to document your conspiring my murder, any of the ways. That's talking about what is systematic. That's federal prison. I just want to be clear. And doing so as a facilitating video like Wells Fargo and their employees, facilitating surveillance at nightfall where psychopaths are lurking in the middle of the night, parked in front on the sidewalk, so they're stalking in the path. Sex offenders that want to touch all over my body with engineer light, those are sex offenders. That's equally predatory. Touching me with your hand, touching me with engineer light. An unlawful, unsolicited, unconsented means of touching while you're monitoring on behalf of the gang members, the Ontario Police. 1735-2R2. 7S26901, 9KEK374, VTM3852, that's Texas, 9KDT547, 7CTH920, license plate, 9UQP274, 9WGW375, and they're driving under a fake sun that's over the same street. This is the same street I captured video on at 7 o'clock in the morning. 7HPF865. And the entity is maintaining this fake sun well beyond this. This fake sun that's in this position right now. This is what I'm always capturing in images at 9:15 in the morning. This is the same position it is while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, where I can see this square. The square is this property I'm at. I can see the Ontario Town Square from the doors of the OVITT Family Community Library, and the fake sun takes on a darker amber color like it is at quote-unquote sunrise. The same color. This is what I was describing in the video, and you're looking at the illusion because the fake sun's in the same position. So these are all demons. They're all demons keeping their backs to me, focusing, studying, looking at the sign, reading the sign, walking their dogs, talking on their phone, driving by, working at this is state surveillance. And they're on the internet engaging in surveillance, and I'm going to prosecute you. City of Ontario stalking with light activity. This is what CMAX is doing this morning at the intersection where the fake sun is aimed on me. Where I woke up is where those demons kept that fake sun. I am the focus, and so is my vagina. The entity that's engaged in gang stalking is going to be prosecuted. Criminal surveillance is an exceedingly violent sex offense, and it's an act of terrorism by a population. And it is committed by the government that acts vicariously through that population, and they are mentally ill. They're the demon possessed. This is P.O.C. Like I stated, it's Thursday, January 15, 2026. It's 9:16 a.m. Criminal monitoring on my device. The entity engaging in what is criminal summoning. Also at 9:18 as I begin uploading. YouTube videos are published. Well, they're not published, they're documented. And the moment that I begin resuming that upload on the Ontario Wi-Fi, the entity starts sounding sirens. This is the City of Ontario engaging in criminal summoning. This is speaking to thousands of people who are all together keeping me under surveillance, and all thousands of those people are also equally engaged in conspiring my murder. And it includes the Ontario International Airport stalking. Literally by proven science, the fake sun is the light source over me while the entity is in doing so with simultaneity to my devices. Brightview is pacing around, sharing in that criminal conspiracy, doing so as a corrupt business, and the entities engaging in that while they are also, remember the fact that the entities keeping the evidence under surveillance is legally relevant, and the entities engaging in that while they are stalking in the past. The fake sun and the entity that's engaging what is monitoring as I'm publishing it onto the Google Drive. That's what I'm doing now. I took images of that. It's 9:21 a.m. This is the Ontario Town Square where they were stalking last night. After doing so, as I walk out of the library, and then as I walk what would be south to the square, that's where the entity then moves south with the plane activity, and that's where the entity is stalking now. And this is where the fake sun is at in the evening as I look outside of the doors of the same OVITT Family Community Library, where Brightview is creating audible activity and pacing, stalking in other words. And that's very demented behavior while the demon-possessed criminal system is exposed, and then you're looking at a strip down, a raw, unadulterated reality regarding what they are actually doing and what they want to appear as, what they want you to think that they are engaging in. That is psychopathic. Okay, it is currently 9:22 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is psychopath. They bring in the developmentally challenged to engage in criminal conduct and the engineer light. And guess who's sharing in it?
The entity that's coming closer and closer with the plane activity where there are no takeoffs. This is what they're amplifying door under the fake sun. By the way, Securitas is stalking in the path right here where they are at 4 in the afternoon. All right, stalking with light activity, taking a picture of when they're stalking. While I am in the library under the fake sun, the library is stalking me. Securitas is stalking me. The people of the state, the zombies are stalking me in furtherance of murder. The airport is stalking me. This fake sun is still, as I took an image of what is impossible. First of all, duration of time, speaking to impossibility. First of all, juxtaposing with entirely distinct locations such as Stater Brothers regarding that impossibility. And also the fake sun is seen through the windows on the side of this library at 4 p.m. where Securitas is doing the same thing. That's called light activity. While the airport is stalking, there's nothing from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 that's resulting in Southwest Airlines hovering over, being heard inside. And these are demons that are pacing in and out. They do the same thing in the bathroom. The entity that's engaged in terrorism that goes inside of private spaces like the restroom, where gang members are engaged in that pattern of the city of Ontario, both the Ontario International Airport and the city of Ontario, aerial surveillance while they are monitoring what is uploading onto the venue of the internet. This is the podcast. Okay, the developmentally challenged are being brought by demons of the OPARC and Anthesis, and they're going to be prosecuted regarding abuse. And also abuse with regard to what is engaging in federal stalking with the government and furtherance of murder using the developmentally challenged while they're also making money. This is a series of federal charges at the same time. It's a RICO. It is a conspiracy to murder. It's also abuse of the developmentally challenged. Those clients are not driving themselves here. They're coming and gang stalking while they're being placed on the path with demons like Bemis Landscape stalk with impossible light. And they are doing so while the entity is maintaining surveillance of this evidence. Gregory, that's limping under the fake sun at 9 o'clock, lying in wait. A psychopath that's suicidal, engaging in what is providing evidence to the federal court against himself and everybody else committing kidnapping. They're engaging in criminal presence in the path with Securitas, who shares in kidnapping, which I also documented, and they're engaged in federal stalking. Gregory is remaining here while the airport is stalking me, and so is Gregory in furtherance of murder. And they're pacing, like I stated. I even included a diagram so you can see all they're doing, pacing in and out of the bathrooms, pacing all around, pacing in the sky space, pacing while this fake sun goes to the back portion where you're looking at the College of Laverne University of Law, while the entity is maintaining the fake sun through every window. And these demons are stalking the path as though their light activity, their driving conic, which is pacing by demons, is going to create any sort of flashing of light, which is what is the circumstance of the environment where Gregory works, conspiring my murder. License DFH 2333 Texas, conspiring murder, gang stalking with the government under the fake sun. And it is currently, by the way, 10:08 a.m. The entity has the fake sun where Southwest Airlines is gang stalking at 4:18 p.m. on January 11, 2026, and the fake sun is in the same position that I captured where Gregory is stalking me at the town square en route to his place of employment where he's going to federal prison. OVITT Family Community Library is the city of Ontario. This is P.O.C. This is 10:09 a.m. That's the entity engaging in what is very much under surveillance, your evidence, your devices. And they're doing so, and it's proven through that environment, and it's also proven through their behavioral pattern in that environment with regard to operation of your devices. This is P.O.C. It's federal stalking under Title 18. 22618 subsections 1 and 2. P.O.C. This is the entity stalking as an airport, trying to rapidly move to get out of within shot where they know that I'm operating my device to document them stalking me. This is the entity that is stalking upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library, where I am kept under surveillance inside of that venue by the people of the state, who I'm showing you are replicating the same demented and criminal and notably demonic pattern of conduct. There are no terminals where the airport, under any circumstances, no airline and no terminal, no flights landing or taking off will result in what is doing what this entity is doing. First of all, this is hovering, and second of all, the entity is maintaining what is presence in the path. Presence in the path in that specific environment where the fake sun is rising and setting at OVITT Family Community Library. On the block where I'm remaining from sunrise till sunset, the bus stop to the OVITT Family Community Library, where they are pacing inside of that venue. And they're doing so with regard to the same pattern of conduct, pacing in the engineer light inside of a building on behalf of this government that's stalking by planes and helicopters. Those are the gang members that don't mind going to prison. And that's fine, because that's exactly where they're going. They're going to prison. And they've exposed themselves for your benefit as enemies of the United States so that we don't have enemies amongst us that we are ignorant about. That's impossible light activity. Note, there's no vehicles over here. These are indeed demons. This is not traffic. It is surveillance. And it's not their headlights. That's demonic activity. You're looking at creatures, demon-possessed people, stalkers. It's not their headlights. Okay, and they're all listening to me, and this population obsesses over my vagina. The people of the state are not parents. They are pedophiles that are maintaining those malicious identities with regard to engaging in sexual violence, criminal surveillance, doing so with children, doing so as a corrupt government that's psychopathic. These are demons, and the government is engaging in what is essentially a cult while they're practicing satanic activity and maintaining surveillance with a demon-possessed population. Engaging in terrorism with that which is engineered light. Not sunlight during the day, not takeoffs from the airport. This is all housing community back here. This is mentally ill behavior. And this is telling on the demons inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. I put them on X. I document them stalking me with light. I document them pacing inside of that building, and they're going to prison thanks to their mentally ill co-defendants, the entity that is the state of California. This is P.O.C. Here's my shadow here. And here's another shadow here. That's called audible activity, relevant positioning, and light activity while the entity has light shooting all around. And this is upon my exit, keeping my vagina under surveillance. Every move that I make and everything on the internet, pursuant to an investigation of the federal government, by the federal government, the entity is going to be subject to prosecution. Those demons that are stalking in planes are going to prison and mental asylums. The people of the state that are engaging in stalking with light, engaging in psychopathic pacing all around, they're going to mental asylums. This is P.O.C. It's 9:07 p.m. upon my exit of OVITT. P.O.C. Sexual assault and battery by the city of Ontario, molesting me with impossible light. These are the sex offenders that are engaging in sparking with light inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Very deranged, mentally ill, demonic, and criminal activity. The engineer light, that's not their headlights. And during the day, it's not the sun that's rising right here also where they are stalking with light. Driving through the light that's flying through the air. The shadow of the vehicle moving across the sidewalk so that they can touch me. The shadow of the vehicle is moving across the curb where engineer light is appearing on the driver's side of their vehicle while they're engaging in light activity. They're stalking with light right now. This is the pattern of conduct, specific environment where you're looking at what is the specific environment speaking to what is stalking. Nothing other than surveillance. And there's no iteration of the same pattern of conduct that's different or differentiating from it. Demons are the ones that are stalking us with light. Demons are the ones that are engaging in what is public corruption in plain sight. Demons are the ones committing sex offenses with this engineer light with which they're going to be prosecuted, the evidence of it. Okay, it's mentally ill behavior. In other words, the gang stalker is one that is perfectly capable of committing murder and doing so with absolute disregard for you and your rights. Okay, that's the entity that is stalking with light. You need to understand that that's not an exaggeration. This is P.O.C. This is how you have a population sharing in a pattern of conduct that is criminal. It's psychologically harmful. It's sexually violent. And the entity engages in what is the pattern of conduct showing you their personality defects which pose a national security threat while a population shares in it on behalf of a government. The entity engages in more aggressive, more hostile conduct. Meaning they'll engage in more molestation with impossible light. They'll engage in more extreme and spectacular manners of stalking you, including the planes and the helicopters and the amplified noise, and doing so as a population that are sharing in that violence together. That's the national security threat. They do not think twice about committing murder. The entity, if you're capable of gang stalking, you are fully capable of murder, and that's what you need to understand. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10 p.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. The demons are stalking me at this bus stop, and they're obsessing over me where I sleep, as in the same way that they obsess over my vagina. The gang stalker is a sex offender. This is P.O.C.